effort in its counseling process, creating its own version of the TMC Wellness Clinic. The team also cares for the extremely ill patients, offering specialized nutrition such as enteral or tube feeding, as well as parenteral or intravenous nutrition. The NMS also takes part in various training programs promoting the value of nutrition with its members as speakers and research contributors to the nutritional community both here in the country and abroad. As we move into the future, the NMS hopes to continue its current programs and improve nutrition practices in the hospital, collaborate with TMC satellite clinics, venture into research, reach out to communities to promote healthy lifestyle, build networks and a more relevant and collaborative team, and ultimately become the best nutrition team in the country.
Wow, grabe. Mapapansin talaga natin yung naging growth ng MMS over the past years. Hairstyle lang ata sa
Iba lang. Hairstyle. Pero the wrinkles, hindi naman masyado.
Yes.
And that's true. You know, what's nice kasi is we have to look back in the past so that we can move forward to the future. And I'm sure there's a lot of exciting possibilities that will be awaiting us, no? Now, during the pandemic, one of the things, we don't want to look back into the pandemic anymore, no? Pero there were a lot of good things also that came out during this lockdown. And one of them is a lot of people turned to gardening for fun and stress relief, no? And there was a gardening boom. A lot of people were doing it. And kaya nagsisulputan yung mga plantitos and plantitas. And I wonder how many of you are in the audience of plantitos and plantitas as well. Nako, yan. Ako siguro brown thumb, black thumb pa nga ako, no? So anyway,
Apart
yes.
from a place of tranquility, gardens can also provide an invaluable source of nutrition and income.
Okay, but today we're not going to be talking simply about ordinary gardening, no? Kasi nandito tayo sa Manila. We will be talking more about urban gardening.
Tama. Today we will learn about how gardening can be possible in an urban garden like the Metro Manila, about which plants and herbs that can be grown, and about how to sustain this. Our aim is to start our very own urban garden right here in TMC.
Exactly. And so we want to turn green also today. And so let's go on with the show, Alex.
Okay, we've invited one of TMC doctors to share with us his urban farming journey. Dr. Gerald Justo recently graduated from TMC's neurosurgery program last January 2022 and was awarded Most Outstanding Resident during the commencement exercises. He currently practices in Calibo, Aklan as the only neurosurgeon in the province and continues to be an associate consultant here at TMC. He started his interest in urban farming during his residency, and in 2020, he founded a company that specializes in urban farming solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the future of urban gardening, please welcome TMC's farmer, Dr. Gerald Justo.
Hello, good morning everyone. Okay, so basically I'm here to talk about the future of urban farming. So as you all heard from the introduction, I'm a neurosurgeon. I don't, there are really no limits to what someone that, with regards to your profession or practicing farming. This is something that we can all do, and I'm here to share with you the reason why we should practice urban farming, especially in the setting of the city. So this will be quite a discussion of the different possibilities that Manila can have for other future citizens. Okay, so this problem came with me during the pandemic because I was a resident training here in Medical City, and often when I go home, I would find myself looking at stale vegetables in the refrigerator. And so I was thinking that there might be some way that we can get fresh food from our own houses and plant some food. So I started to do some research and went into a little of microgreens and hydroponics, some of the things that I can basically grow at home. Okay, so here is the traditional food production sourcing. So what we have now is rural towns from outside Manila supply the cities, and the production source comes from a production from the farm, and then going into the different processing areas, going to several middlemen, and then going to be distributed and organized in the different retail shops or the different department stores and restaurants. And that is the food that you shop, or that is the food that you see on your plate after a long day. And this is really something that, this is how food travels from the source going into the supermarket. Okay, so I'm here to tell you about the new food movement. Okay, so the new food movement is all about what we call food miles. And when we say food miles, this was a term coined by a British Tom Lang, and he coined this term to denote the distance or the miles that your food travels from where it came from to your plate. And basically, the food miles they actually exist, and for us to be more aware of these different things that come into play when we eat our food. Okay, so there were several movements, and they started in 1968. So what you see here is the very first McDonald's in Rome, Italy. And this was just below the Spanish Steps. And this was where the birth of the slow food movement started. So the slow food movement was founded by an Italian called Carlo Petrini. And Carlo Petrini actually decided to Carlo Petrini was actually a bit aghast with the fact that McDonald's was in Italy, and they didn't really want McDonald's to be in Italy because it was trampling with their food tradition, and it was actually trampling with the way that they eat. And so he founded and boycotted the fast food industry, and so the slow food movement came into place. The slow food movement aims to tell us that slow food envisions a world in which all people can access and enjoy food that is good for them, that is good for those who grow it, and that is good for the planet. So basically, that's the main aim of the slow food movement. Okay, so there are so many things about food that we do realize now. And who likes salmon in the group? Is there anyone who likes salmon in the group? So, you know, this new salmon is usually farmed nowadays, and the journey of the Atlantic salmon is quite tedious. So, do you know that Atlantic salmon that we get from the US or we get in the Philippines actually travels all the way from the Atlantic Ocean, gets caught there in Norway, and then gets sent to a food processing center in China because labor is or wherever destination it is going to be. And then onto your plate. So you can just imagine the miles that the food travels, and you can just imagine the ability involved, not just in Manila, but the rest of the world. They were stipulating that by the year 2030, more than half of the people in the world will be in cities, or will be living in cities. Okay, so these are the world's biggest megacities, and it's set for major growth. And you see the red arrow? We're all the way there with Mexico City, New York, Karachi, Rio de Janeiro, Kolkata, Mumbai, and Shanghai. Tokyo is the most with 37 and 39 million. So you see their percentage growth, it's at 33%. So it's really inevitable that we will become a megacity in the future. And we focused so much on providing housing, we focus so much on providing transportation to people, but what about food? We've been very reliant with food from the rural areas. In our setting alone, coming from people in Manila, we've relied food coming from Cavite, coming from Baguio, coming from the different areas where they produce this food. But as you know, right now, the oil prices are currently increasing, and there will be an inevitable trend that food will be produced here in the city because of that. So that is the final movement that is the final new food movement that we are experiencing currently. So more and more we see these places here, and we see it now because we have it here in our hospital. And these are what we call urban gardens or rooftop gardens, seemingly small spaces in urban areas where we can transform and where we can make all these things, food that we can actually use, not just for ornaments, but food that we can actually feed the people or even our patients. Okay, so I'm going to show you a bit more of what I do. Okay, so I have founded this company during the pandemic, and we currently specialized on going into these areas of trying to create all these small pockets of spaces in Manila. And we try to do what we call the support of technology when it comes to farming. So you have, what do you see here? You see like a computer circuit board, and then on the other end you see a plant, diba? So this is actually a very simple, picture of what it looks like for a robot to fully maintain and water a plant. So this is the plant there. It contains some water sensors, water level sensors. At the same time, it contains pH sensors. It contains sensors of the humidity, temperature, and these are all modified by the AI on the other side. And it's for some people, it's such a big deal. It's just a small plant, but we have to empower it with artificial intelligence. But you know, people in Manila, we're so busy. We can take care of plants. You might take care of plants if you are doing nothing, if you're retired. But for all of us, we don't really have the time. That's why I think more and more people will be going into these automated or semi-automated technologies. Okay, so this is you know the picture there. I think you recognize Elon Musk, but Elon Musk actually has a brother. His name is Kimball Musk, and Kimball Musk has this interest in urban farming. So this is actually a container van, and it contains all the plants, all the artificial lighting, and they're growing this in New York, and they're actually automating everything, harvesting food from inside these container vans to their lighting and delivering it to the cities. And this is what it looks like from the outside. So there are layered container vans that actually contain plants inside, automated to function, and then the only thing that the person has to do is to plant and to harvest at the very end. Okay, so this is a glimpse again of another thing that we can do. So this is what we call a vertical farm, and this is a company in the United States called FarmShell. And that is the one that we are trying to replicate here in the Philippines. So basically this is like your common aparador, and it's on that area in your house or in that area in your dining room where you can actually grow these plants. The only step that you need to do is to plant the seed and then let it grow, and then it tells you when to harvest the food. So it actually takes around a cycle of 15 to 30 days for you to get a lettuce, for example. And then at the same time, it also has some cameras that you can access the plants, so you can view the plants at your very own houses. So this is an example of that particular technology. They usually have this in some restaurants in the United States, and it's literally farm to table during in that particular restaurant. How about grocery shopping? Grocery shopping would also change in the future. Your common vegetable. This is a supermarket in Germany, And this is a company called InFarm. Your vegetable, you can uproot it from the cabinet. And when you go to the cashier will just chop out the roots and then weigh the vegetables for you and then charge you money. So that's how you would buy vegetables in the future. And this is something that we would like this particular movement to come into our country. Okay, so this is the company that I started, and we've been doing some previously, we've been doing a little work with microgreens, with providing seeds and common farming at home. But then we've developed into urban landscapes. Some of the companies that we've catered for are Canva. And then we've created some spaces for them, spaces that are actually livable, but are also sources of edible food. Like for example, you see the flower there. Those are marigolds, but do you know that marigolds are actually edible? And so they actually can be incorporated in your salad. So they're aesthetic, but at the same time, they're also very much edible. Okay, so I hope I was able to provide you with a little glimpse of the future of urban farming, and at the same time, I hope it opens your eyes to the future of other possibilities. So thank you very much. Good morning.
Ano yun? Surgeon yun.
Hello, good morning. Okay, thank you very much, sir. That was very interesting. It's one thing that we really want to try to do is to keep healthy and to make it self-sufficient for everybody. And, urban farming is something that we can actually do. And even in this area of the urban jungle, we can do some greenery. We can add some greenery for that. Teka muna ha, I'll put on my eyes.
Madali namang tanong ka lang sa garden.
So now,
Saan yung garden?
our special guest as well. Our next
Sige
speaker
po.
is actually a staunch advocate of agriculture and food security. He graduated, he's very green. Kasi nasa lista to no? Nasa lista, so green na green to. But he's also not green, he's also green, maroon and green. He graduated with Bachelor of Arts degree in English, majoring in comparative literature from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Yes, sir, we are one with that. He went on to pursue his law degree from the same institution and later a master's degree in public administration from the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University, Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. He served as senator from 2016 to 2022 and as a cabinet secretary of Presidential Assistance for Food Security and Agricultural Modernization at the Office of the President. He was the chairman on Committee on Agriculture and Food Security, wherein he was in charge of matters relating to agriculture and food security. Siguro naman, kasi nga that's the committee, di ba? He also shepherded the SAGIP-SACA Act of 2019, which aims to directly connect food producers to the market to increase their income. Indeed, he is really, it's really close to his heart, food and agriculture. And today he will share his insights about something else aside from urban gardening. It's also family nutrition and urban gardening. So please welcome our #1 farmer in the Philippines, Attorney Francis Kiko Pangilinan. Sir.
Maraming salamat, Dr. Yin Sioson, for your kind introduction. Magandang umaga sa kanilang lahat. Batiin ko rin si Joshua Dizon, ang ating Department Head, Communications and Creatives. Griselda Joy Borbar Enriquez, ang ating Division Head. Cheryl Gonzaga, APP Special Services. Dr. Raimundo Resurrección, ang ating Director ng Nutrition Management Service. Caroline Hernandez, ang ating Assistant Manager na siyang nakikita sa akin, sa ating mga staff, mga pasyente, mga kamag-anak ng pasyente, at sa inyo lahat. Magandang umaga po. Ako po ay inibita para magsalita tungkol po sa nutrition and food security. Hindi po ako urban gardening, hindi po ako nagdalawang isip. Dahil napakahalaga ng usapin ng pagkain, napakahalaga ng usapin ng nutrition sa ibang bansa. Number one, ang food security. Ang food, dapat ang trato natin sa pagkain, parang trato natin sa hangin, trato natin sa tubig. Pag walang pagkain, tulad ng pag walang tubig o hangin, mamamatay tayo lahat. So napaka-basic ng pagkain. At ang malungkot, milyon-milyon pa rin sa ating mga kababayan ang nakakaranas ng gutom, lalo na sa Metro Manila at NCR. Times 3 o almost double ang incidence ng hunger sa urban centers kumpara sa mga probinsya. Dahil nga walang taniman, galing sa agriculture areas pa yung pagkain natin, kaya pagdating sa syudad, hirap ang access sa pagkain. So napakahalaga. Lahat ng ibang bansa na progresibo, inuuna ang pagkain, ang food security. Amerika, Europe, China, Japan, Korea, uunahin ang pagkain. Ang problema sa atin, nahuhuli ang priority ng agrikultura at pagkain. Inuuna ang iba na hindi tama. Kaya bigyan ng pagkakataon, nabigyan ng ganitong pagkakataon, hindi po natin tinatalikuran para mas maparagdag pa ang kaalaman at ang ating advokasya tungkol sa pagkain. Sa Metro Manila, mahigit kalahating milyong pamilya ang nakakaranas ng gutom. Sa buong Pilipinas, 3 milyong pamilya. Napakatindi. At ang kinakailangang unahin, siyempre, ay paano maproduce ng tama ang pagkain. At pagka production ang pinag-uusapan, sino ba ang producer? Yung farmer at yung fisher. Yun ang dapat pinapriority. Hindi dapat mabago na dapat itong ating pagtingin sa mga magsasaka at mga isda. Marami kasi ang lipunan ang tinuro sa atin. Hindi maganda ang pagiging magsasaka. Hirap, mananatili kang gutom. Pati ang farmer mismo, sinasabi nga ako'y farmer lamang. Hindi katulad sa ibang bansa na priority at binibigyan ng halaga at importansya ang mga magsasaka at mga isda. Saan ba nakakita sa ating lipunan? Elementary pa lang, malaki na ang bias. Elementary pa lang tayo, malaki na ang bias kontra sa pagsasaka. Pag ikaw ay bumabagsak, nangangamote. Bakit naman, ano ba kinalaman ng masamang grade sa kamote? Pag ikaw ay, hindi maganda ang performance, nangangalabasa. Ano naman ang kinalaman ng kalabasa sa talino? Kawawa naman yung kalabasa. Nananahimik lang, biglang. Pag ikaw naman ay walang kinabukasan, saan ka pupulutin? Sa kambungan. Bakit puro negative? Pati nga yung pag ikaw ay, hindi ko nga pasa, nangingitlog. Puro agriculture. Bakit? Ba't ang sama ng tingin natin sa kamote, sa kangkong, sa kalabasa? It is actually part of our culture to look down on farming and food. Hindi tama. At dala yan ng matagal ng sabihin natin kultura na dapat baguhin. In fact, ano ang pinakamababang uri sa economic ladder? Anong tawag natin sa kanila? Hampas lupa. May kasamang insulto yun eh. Hampas lupa. Bakit naging insulto yung nagbubungkal. Di ba hampas lupa, binubungkal yung lupa? So that must stop. And it starts with everyone, each and every one of us. And in our farm, I've been farming since 2012. 10 years na kami nagpa-farming. Ang una naming harvest ay June 2012. So July 2022 na. 10 taon na kami nagpa-farming. We do farm tours. Before COVID, yung mga farm tours namin, educational tours, field trips ng mga bata, ako mismo ang humaharap. Dahil gusto natin sa ating mga kabataan magkaroon ng respeto sa pagsasaka. Diyan na isa. Pag ang lipunan mismo ay nag-uumpisa ng bigyan ng respeto ang magsasaka at mangingisda at mabigyan sila ng tamang suporta dahil sa respeto na yon at prioridad dahil sa respeto na yon, we are on our way to securing our food. Because before we secure our food, we have to secure our farmers in that country. Now, having said that, and that is probably the long and short of bakit hindi binibigyan ng importansya ang pagkain ng agrikultura. Dahil tayo mismo bilang lipunan, kulang ang pagrespeto, pag-unawa, pagkilala sa kahalagahan. Itigil na natin at let us be mindful na yung nangangalabasa, yung pinupunutin sa kangkungan, yung nangangamote, hindi tamang banggitin na bilang pag-describe sa hindi magandang antas ng o sitwasyon ng sinuman. Anyway, having said that, personal din sa akin yung journey ko into farming dahil yung dalawang anak kong babae na sumunod kay Casey parehong asthmatic. Meron silang allergic rhinitis. I remember Miel, hindi makakain ng itlog dahil nagkaka-rashes. At iniisip ko ano bang pinakakain ko sa mga anak ko. I remember na anak si Miel, 2004, 4 months pregnant pa lang si Sharon, pumirmi na kami sa probinsya, sa Silang Cavite. We stayed there for about 2 years. At doon siya nakanak sa Asian Hospital and we were there living in the suburbs. Bakit ko sinasabi ito? Dahil yung aming pagkain, binibili namin sa palengke doon sa backyard farms sa Silang Cavite. Bakit ko sinasabi ito? Dahil after 2 years, bumalik kami ng Maynila, dyan na kami sa Mandaluyong ulit, at doon ko mismo natikman yung karne na ibang-iba ang lasa kumpara sa karne na bili sa probinsya. Yung mga commercial farms, marami dyan, ang siyang nagsusupply ng pagkain natin dito sa palengke sa merkado sa Metro Manila. At ako mismo nalasahan ko, lasang gamot yung baboy. After 2 years of buying it there sa probinsya, biglang dito na sa Manila, pagtingin ko nung karneng baboy, lasang gamot. Sabi ko, anong pinakakain ko sa mga anak ko? Marahil, kaya may mga cancer dahil na doon sa quality ng food and nutrition, of course. And that somehow convinced me na kinakailangan akong hanap ng sources of food para sa aking mga asthmatic na mga anak na masustansya at ligtas. At doon nag-umpisa ang aking pagsasala. Ako mismo, across our house, dyan sa Silang, sa village dyan, empty lang, nag-umpisa ako mag-tanim. Doon muna, mga 1 meters lang. Sintaw, kamatis, mais. Tapos, pinlap ko pa, per square meter. Nung ako kinikilo ko yung aming inaani para alam ko per square meter. Para alam ko, kung times 10 square meters, times 10 ang kilo. Kung 100 square meters, di times 100 yung maraming potential yield. So I started my organic farming venture doon lang sa maliit na plot sa harap ng aming bahay dyan sa May Cavite, village. And from there, nakita ko ang kahalagahan, sabi ko, hindi ko maintindihan ng lubos ang problema ng mga magsasaka kung ako mismo ay hindi magsaka. At doon na nga, June 2012, ang una naming pag-harvest ng lettuce at herbs sa aming farm. Up to today, we continue to have farm tours, up to 20 people dahil nasa COVID, para ma-experience ng ating mga anak itong farming. Pati sa aming balkonahe, sa aming kondo dito sa Makati, meron rin kaming mga tanim. Napakahalaga to address hunger. We have to start accessing food. Hunger is not the lack of food per se, but it is the inability to access healthy food. So how do you access healthy food? One is to plant the food yourself. Kaya urban gardening is very important. Dito sa aming kondo, meron kaming talbos ng kamote, meron kaming kangkong, meron kaming alubati. Lahat yan, very nutritious. Yung alubati, sabi nga nila, yung talbos ng kamote is the most nutritious, super food. Talbos ng kamote. It has more calcium than milk. It has more vitamin C than an orange. It has iron. And so many others, vitamin D, etc. Kailangan natin ito para sa ating mga anak. 1/3 of our population, of our children, according to UNICEF, ay stunted. Kulang sa sustansya ang pagkain. 1/3. Malain mo yun. 95 children die every day, according to UNICEF sa ating bansa, because of hunger. Ang dali-dali itanim ng talbos ng kamote. Bibili mo na sa palengke. Ilalagay mo yung tangkay sa tubig, yung rainwater, yung faucet water. Ito rin, mineral water. Huwag yung distilled water, ito lang mineral water. Tapos after 4-5 days, yung talbos ng kamote, lalabas mga roots. Ayan, pwede mo nang ilipat sa pasok. After 3 weeks to 1 month, pwede ka nang gubit-gubit ng talbos ng kamote na very rich, precisely. So it can be done. In fact, there are efforts today. Kahapon, kausap ko lang yung head ng foundation ng San Miguel Corporation. And they are actually doing bukid. Urban bukid ba? Sorry. Ang body ko. Backyard bukid program ng San Miguel Foundation. They're actually planting sa bubong ng headquarters ng San Miguel dyan sa Pasig. Iba-iba. Organic lahat. Organic lettuce, talong, bok choy. And dati, para lang sa 25 nilang maintenance bin. Pero ngayon, 750 plus kilos na ang kanilang hinaani, pati yung kanilang community, yung empleyado nila bumibili na rin ng produktong agrikultura galing doon sa maintenance ng San Miguel Corporation. So that is one example of klaseng corporate urban gardening. I'm sure Medical City has its similar program. Pag ganito ang nangyari, we will be able to hopefully fill in the gaps of access to nutritious food, lalo na sa urban centers. Yung barangay Fairview community ng urban farming, nandiyan ba yung, pwede bang itutok? Sorry, itutok. Romay na itutok. Pwede bang yan yung video lang?
Gusto ko nang lumipat ko.
Neighbors here decided to clean up the lot na isip namin mag-start na rin ng urban garden. Lahat yun, sinishare lang din namin dito sa neighborhood, walang nagbabayad or anything. Everyone just helps out and benefit from the community effort.
Dating tambakan ng basura. Fairview. Share na kami.
Pangalawa, para rin makaiwas sa pagpunta sa palengke. Una, yung danger ng virus. Pangalawa, kasi ang haba ng pila sa palengke, yung gastos, believe it or not, 300 pesos in total. Almost everything was recycled. Wooden frames nung raised beds namin ay galing sa mga lumang cabinet. Tapos yung mga trellis, yun ay galing sa mga metal racks. Gumamit din kami ng mga lumang gulong for pots, mga dating sinulid, garter, para sa marker ng sinasas lang namin yung alambre para doon sa trellis na nagagapangan ng mga vines. And yung harvest niya, naging regular na talaga ngayon, almost weekly, na meron kami sobrang daming pechay, tangkong, talbos ng mamote, talong, palaya, and lahat yun, share lang din namin dito sa neighborhood. Meron dito parang local sharing economy that's happening right now. Walang nagbabayad for anything, and everyone just helps out and benefit from the community effort. Teka lang yung mga sasaka. Ako ay sa abogado, wala akong background sa pagtatag. Natuto lang kami dito sa YouTube, sa Wikipedia. I'm really amazed doon sa nagawa namin. To produce something like that, just with your hands, just with the soil, sunlight, water, it humbles you. Something that you will never forget. I'm pretty sure yung mode niya ngayon na siya ay community effort and community sharing, na yung pa rin yung maging approach namin sa kanya.
Si JC, dati kong legal staff sa Senate, siguro na-expire din siya sa mga airports. Kaya nung kasagsagan ng lockdown sila rin. At ang latest, tungkol dito sa Barangay Fairview to sa Quezon City, ay isang empty lot lang muna, ngayon tatlong lote na, 3 vacant lots na ang urban community gardening nila. At nakinig na kanina, narinig nyo, libre lahat. Ang kanilang bayad ay yung kanilang kontribusyon ng labor o pag-aalaga ng mga talim. At ang kapalit ay libreng gulay. I think another thing that we have to stress is importante rin yung food, nutrition, education. Dahil admittedly, marami sa ating mga anak ayaw ng gulay. Diba? At marami sa ating mga anak mas gusto yung fast food. Nahihingi na ako yung fast food, di ba? So it also requires education for the parents. Marami sa ating mga, ako mismo, I will admit, siguro 10 years pa lang na alam ko ganun pala ang talbos ng kamote. No, 58 na ako. So ibig sabihin, 48 years. I was ignorant. And I'm sure many of us, many of our kababayans are also unaware na, ma'am, doc, alam niyo yun, di ba? Preventive medicine starts with, di ba? Healthy diet and exercise. So, mahalaga yung education para malaman ng mga magulang dahil sa kanila mag-uumpisa yung kahalagahan at sustansya ng pagkain at paano papakain ito sa ating mga anak. Isa pang kwento ng medicinal naman, ma'am. Ito, anecdotal but backed by medicine and science and data. Ako mismo dapat naglilipitor na 5 years ago. Dinescribe na sa akin, mataas yung aking triglyceride, 671. Ang normal is 200 o below. So times, more than 8 times yung level. Yung aking fat, cholesterol level, over 221. Over din. Yung aking blood sugar level, a little over, almost 100. A little over 100. So medyo borderline. So nung dinescribe sa akin, this was about 5 years, 6 years ago. Yung Lipitor, Sabi ko, teka muna, alam ko may mga negative effect ko sa kidney, sa liver. Tsaka organic farmer na ako noon, 6 years ago. Bakit ko lalagyan ng gamot yung aking katawan? Baka mayroong alternative na healthy. At doon ko nabasa na yung sili labuyo na green, according to Dr. Jimmy Tan, is a fat burner. So kinonta ko si Jimmy Tan at kinonfirm niya. At nag-diagnose sa akin dahil pinakita ko yung aking resulta ng executive check-up. So sabi niya, sige, 3 times a day, after every meal, 3 siling labuyo na green ang iinumin mo. So, siyempre may pharma ko, kaya may siling labuyo ko. Although, 2 weeks ago, naubos yung aking siling labuyo dahil kakompetensya ko yung mga ibon. Lalo na ngayon, pag nag-uulan, malamig, yung ibon, mahilig sa sili yun. Pampainit ng kanilang katawan. So, naubos yung aking sili sa farm, nabibili pa naman. Nabili ko ata dito sa Mandaluyong. Yung palay. Sili labuyo green. After 4 months of taking it, nagpag-blood test ako ulit, yung 671 na triglyceride ko, ano na lang, 185. At yung aking cholesterol level na 221, naging 191. So bumaba. At yung aking blood sugar na over 100, naging 90. Nag-normalize lahat. So for the past 5 years, 6 years, I have been taking this as my natural, organic, maintenance bed. So kaka-check up ko lang nung end of the month, last month, at sa awa ng Diyos, yung ma-maintain na yung aking cholesterol levels, maintain pa rin yung aking blood sugar, etc. Medyo boundary, pero dahil sabi ng doktor, kulang ka kasi sa exercise, medyo bawasan mo yung karning baboy at karning baka. Isda na lang dyan. So, okay, yes, no, well, what's the point here? The point here is there are a lot of medicinal herbs available na kontra sa mga sakit na hindi na kailangan bumili pa ng gamot. Oregano para sa ubo. Hindi ba? Lagundi para sa ubo. Lahat ito pwedeng actually malakihin at patubuhin sa ating mga bahay. Tarragon tea, spearmint tea. Lahat yan, health. May benefit sa health. So yan din ang dapat magkaroon ng education and training. Yung sa San Miguel Corporation Foundation, yung 25 farmers, 25 maintenance men na farming, training ng seeds. This is the school for experiential and entrepreneurial development. Tama, seed. Training sila on urban farming, vermiculture, agri-enterprise development, bago sila sumabak sa kanilang programa. So there are ways of being able to expand our experience in terms of urban gardening. So yun na naman po. I hope I've been able to share some experiences that will inspire a number of you to go into urban gardening and maybe farming. Meron kayong mga lupang tiwangwan na ma-inspire nyo kayong bumalik at pumunta sa bukid. So yun na lamang po. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga.
We will now open the floor for your questions and clarifications. May we now invite Dr. Justo to join Attorney Kiko on stage for the open forum.
Okay, so now we are open to questions. Does anybody have a question for our guests? Actually, I have one question first, okay? You know, one of the challenges kasi sa organic farming is madaling masira ang pagkain, di ba? Madaling masira. How do you avoid that? Or right away talagang farm to table talaga dapat. Harvest mo and then eat it right away.
Can I
Yes.
clarify? When you say madaling masira, what do you mean?
It means that it doesn't stay, it nabubulok ka agad. So it blackens. Because nga, usually when it's organic, there's no chemical, di ba? Natural lang yon. But when you have chemicals kasi, the aim of the chemicals is that's why your apples look fresh. Kahit isang linggo na dyan, fresh pa rin, walang bulok. Di ba? Karaniwan. Because they do additives there. And that's
They
the
put
one that's the bad.
they put formalin.
And stuff like that, which is true. No, that's how they do it. Yeah.
Well, actually, at least for lettuce,
Yeah.
iba yung experience ko. Because, well, I'm a lettuce farmer. Ang lettuce, dahil walang pestisidong chemical, dahil walang fertilizer na chemical, lalo na yung pesticide, hindi siya mabilis matuyo. The pesticides, the chemical pesticides actually burn. Nakakasunog yun. Kaya, yung at least for lettuce, 10 days after you harvest yung organic lettuce, ano pa rin siya?
Parang centerpiece
Crispy
pa
pa rin
rin.
siya. At
Parang
hindi
pang-
lantas. But if you buy yung hindi organic, 2 days pa lang nalalanta na yung lettuce. Tapos na. So, iba sa lettuce. I'm not sure, but I agree with you. Pag nilagyan mo ng formalin yan,
Talagang shiny,
yes. So,
shimmery splendid.
So I think kinakailangan lang ma-ensure yung quality ng produktong binibili ninyo. No? Yun ang medyo challenge. Kaya ako, ang naging solusyon ko, ako na magtatanim ng sarili kong tanim.
Yeah, that's right,
Diba?
that's right.
Para naligtas yung mga... And at some point, medyo nagka-problema kami dahil pinesti kami. But at some point, meron din akong manok, meron din akong evacuate sa farm. Kasi nga yung kamot, and of course, government intervention and regulation is critical dahil kinakailangan talaga binabantayan mo yung quality ng pagkain. Meron yan, protocol yan na hindi mo na pwedeng saksakan ng anumang growth hormones yung baboy. About 45 days before you sell it. Pero meron iba, again, unscrupulous, sasaksakan ng steroid para lumaki, para tumaba, para bumigat, makakuha ng dagdag na benta dahil per kilo kasama dun. So it's also government food security regulation that is critical. But for us, we start planting our own.
Very, very good point. I agree with that. So
I
it's
think we have another question.
yes.
Hi po. Naku-curious lang po ako. If ever po kasi mag-start po ako mag-plant, so ang torn po kasi if ever po yung pipiliin ko is yung plant po na mag-grow po ba mas maganda is yung sa water or yung mag-start po agad ako na sa soil. Lalo na po is na within dito lang po so maliit lang po yung space. So ano po bang mas maganda?
My advice is you start dun sa mga madadali. Huwag muna yung mga kukulukado. Huwag kang mag-upisa sa ubas. o kaya cauliflower, yung mga broccoli. Huwag muna doon, di ba? Dahil siyempre kailangan small victories muna. You can start with talos na kapag. Diba? And then in pots. So you can start with kangkong, tapos na kamote, then you can go into kamatis, talong, di ba? After. Pero yung kangkong, tapos na kamote, yan, pwede mabili pechay. Ang pechay, 22 days lang, pwede mo na i-harvest. Pati mustasa. Pwede ka mag-upisa sa ganyan, yung madalian. Tapos pagka nagkaroon ka na ng kumpiyansa, di ba? Tsaka lang yung experiment sa ubas, ganda. Pero,
Dr. Russo, you have a comment about that?
By water, you mean po may mga hydroponics, yung mga ganun systems. So, it will depend on the space na kung nasaan kayo. So, if, for example, meron naman kayong available plot of land at maliit, then it will be much better to start with that. Pero, syempre, farming is always experimenting, di ba? Hindi naman siya na wala tayo dun sa field, but that's the beauty of it. We want to experiment and we will explore and learn on our own kung ano yung mga needs. And I think the best plants also to plant is the one that you use. So you think of ano yung mga ginagamit nyo always sa bahay. Pero wag nga po yung mga mas mahihirap o sibuyas o mga yun. So I think start with the basics like yung
Herbs,
leafy
I suppose yung
vegetables.
herbs is here.
Apa,
Yung
yes.
mga herbal plants. Like basil or basil,
Basil, opo.
para siyang weed ng yun eh.
Oh.
You just put it there and then it will grow on its own eh.
Ako, yung basil ko sa condo, puro, ano na yun, mga apat na taon na yun.
Yeah.
Pero, I plant. Yeah. Usually, ang basil, mga 4 months yan. 4, 5, 6 months. Kailangan ng palitan. No? So, pero yun, from the time I started up to now, galing lang yan sa isang pot. Pero, parang
Tapos iniiwan mo lang yun. I know, because I'm such a brown thumb, nabubuhay sa akin ang basil, so okay na yun.
Just to add, no? You don't need, kung personal consumption lang, family consumption, you'll be surprised. The size of this stage is more than enough.
Yeah.
It's more than enough. Yung aming area dun sa, bumali ng talbos ng kamote, isa lang sa ganun. Tapos na. So you don't need a huge, unless ikaw ay gusto mag-supply na sa palengke o mag-supply sa grocery, eh, pausapan na. Pero sa bahay lang, ganito kalaki lang ng area, more than sufficient. You know, sa lettuce, you can produce up to 3 or 4 kilos of lettuce to 1 square meter.
How long does it take, sir?
15 days sa nursery, then you transplant 30 days sa open plant. So after 45 days from the seed up to the harvest. So meron ka na 45 days, meron ka na lettuce. Tsaka up to 4 kilos per square meter. Yung 4 kilos, kailangan may kabayo ka na nun. Ang dami na ng 4 kilos. Hindi naman pwede maubos ng isang pamilya yun, di ba?
Okay. Okay, there's a question here. Kami muna dito.
Okay, good morning, Senator Kiko. My question is about the value of education. As you mentioned earlier, we start the essence of providing quality information from the start. No? Start from the parents and then from the youth. So my question is, do we have a law or a mandatory law integrated in education curriculum wherein the value of farming and eating healthy, nutritious food is integrated in the education curriculum of the Department of Education or any bill in Congress or Senate perhaps that would cement the fundamental law elements from our education curriculum?
Well, actually, kung batas na requiring mandatory agriculture education, wala. No? So that really is sa DepEd na yun in terms of yung curriculum, yung autonomy. No, but in the end, sabi ko nga, even if you have a law, unless meron talagang mindset, paradigm shifting, it will be a dead law. Because we do have a lot of laws that should be implemented, but it is not the paradigm is back. Kaya nga yung paradigm shifting, when I say that, is that kailangan baguhin yung mindset na hindi parang hindi maganda ang agriculture, hindi maganda ang farming. In fact, nagreklamo ako sa DepEd. I remember last year, yung kanilang module, yung farmer family, yung drawing, nakatagpit-tagpit, yung damit, yung parang mukhang mga scavenger, gano'n. Sabi ko, hindi naman tama ito. Bakit naman ganyan ang depiction ninyo ng farmer? Kaya nga, ingrained. So, walang batas, but I think in the end, leadership, the right leadership, you will really be able to address itong mga education gaps. But yes, start with us, the family, the parents, the teachers, tayo mismo.
Yes, and you'll be surprised actually sa plate method. We teach the plate method so that we have balanced meals, vegetables, fruits. You know, we taught before in a urban community, the mothers, magdodraw sila ng plato, di ba? And they'll fill in the plate. They don't know, pag pinakita namin ng isda, they put it under vegetable. So which means that there's really a lack of understanding kung ano ba yung basic food groups alone. So they can't appreciate that. Now that's I think where we have to work as healthcare providers. I think that's one of the most important things we have to teach. That basic thing alone lang.
Although it can be, right now, the right leadership can actually be incorporated sa current subjects. No? Health, wellness, nutrition, pwede na eh.
Yeah,
Kailangan lang talagang bigyan ng priority.
that's right. Yes po.
We have another questions here.
May text in.
May nag-text.
May nag-text.
Ayan. During summer days, alam natin napakainit po and you have potted plants in the balcony or dun sa iyong garden. Is it a good idea to put a bed of pebbles on the pots to prevent loss of humidity for plants that are vulnerable to heat? Yeah. Okay ba yun? Lalagay ng ng mga, yung pebbles, batong maliliit?
Actually, I'm not sure about pebbles. Kasi iinit din yung pebbles pagka mainit yung araw. Di ba? But I do know, coco peat, medyo malamig yan. No? And medyo insulation, nakaka-insulate sa heat. So that is one. Marami actually information available. O yung DA has a LUPA, Permi-Agriculture Program and Urban Gardening. Meron silang mga ganyan data na pwedeng ibigay. I remember nung kasagsagan ng lockdown, biglang nagkaroon ng tsunami of interest sa sariling pagkain. Dati mga 2-3 lang ang tumatawag sa kanila, yung kanilang urban gardening program. Pagkatama ng lockdown, 100 tawag everyday. So, merong information available ng DA on urban gardening, which you can avail of.
You can actually use peat moss also. Yung moss, kasi it covers the soil. So, yung moisture ng soil na hindi masyadong mawawala. On the other end, if you want to use technology, meron mga simple timers ng watering. So, pwede mong i-time yung watering ng mga pots na drip watering lang. Let's say, for example, sa summer, kailangan mo siya increase in frequency. So, pwede mo i-time at particular times ng day na, let's say 3 times a day, 4 times a day. Depending on the need.
Thank you.
Yun, tama yun. Dati, pagka malamig, once a day lang watering. Pagka panahon ng pag-init, ginagawan twice. Early in the morning, and then late in the afternoon. Tsaka ang test mo dyan is, ramdaman mo lang yung lupa kung saan nakatanim yung tanim mo. Kung tuyo, ibig sabihin, kung tuyo-tuyo, hindi kailangan naman. But huwag kayong mag-water ng tanghaling tapat. Mag-water kayo ng madaling araw o kaya late in the afternoon para hindi natotrauma yung tanim. Kasi pag masyado mainit, tsaka mo lagyan ng tubig, magkakaroon ng stress. Pati ang mga tanim, stress. Kasi stress yan.
Na-lockdown din. Okay. There's another question here.
My another question, Senator, is of course, today, in terms of global economic crisis, ang mahal ng gulay, no, kaya nag-afford ng karamihan. So, from farm to market routes, we know for a fact na maraming proseso pagdadaanan yung gulay na inaani going to the specific market. So, in terms of affordability, especially sa mga masa, how do you innovate supply chain process with the help of the local government units and government agencies to make our food from the farm to table very affordable, especially to our Filipino people na talagang maliit lang yung sinasweldo at usually mga instant noodle lang yung kinakain nila. What is your innovative suggestion?
Actually, yung batas na sa IPSATA Act, Farmers Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Development Program of the Department of Agriculture. I was principal also. Batas na yan, 2019. Mandates that government programs, feeding programs, sa mga health and wellness, dapat binibili na direkta sa ating mga farmers at fishing na wala ng public bidding. So, I remember nung kasagsagan ng lockdown, yung Isabela province government at yung nagkakaisang magsasaka ng Isabela, binenta direkta sa Makati, Taguig, local government yung produkto. So, I think local government should step in, lalo na sa mga informal sector communities. Yung community pantry, if you remember that should be actually supported by the communities, the local government, and the national government, na direktang binibigyan sa ating farmers, dinadala sa mga areas na may food insecure areas, particularly NCR, make this food available as part of their feeding and wellness and nutrition programs, make it available. DSWD should be able to buy directly from farmers to implement their food and feeding programs. Even DepEd may feeding programs. Kailangan lahat ko bilhin direct sa farmer, tapos dalhin dito para mas marami ang makikinabang na masustansya pa kasi hindi na trader. Direct na sa farmer. Alam mo ang farmer, point nila. Yung kanyang pagkatao, yung kanyang tangal, naroon sa produkto niya. Hindi ka ibebenta ng bulok, ng hindi sariwa, yung pinakamaganda ay bibigay na sa'yo. So when you buy directly sa farmers, your quality is assured. Yung trader kasi, bababa niya binibili, kahit na mabulok, kaya niya itapon, kumikita na siya. So yung quality, hindi siya masyadong concern. Hindi siya concern sa quality dahil malaki na yung kita niya. Mababa kasi niya binibili.